I exist. Like the process of it.
The core of the story is just like, I exist, I'm here. And then the music is as culturally appropriative as possible. They took from everywhere. And without, if they hadn't done that, it wouldn't exist. And if you suddenly start telling people, no, you can't do that anymore, then you're going to end up with a sort of very dull.
Well, the other thing,
art form.
If you look at it again from a psychological perspective, is that for me to understand you, I have to imitate you. That's the ground of understanding. It's not like I listen to what you say and then think about it and then react, although I do that to some degree. It's that I watch you. I look at what you're looking at. I listen to the cadence of your voice. I adjust my body so that it's in accordance with yours. If we're having a real conversation, we have to create a space between us that's a consequence of a mutual imitation. Even changing the way that we speak, because I'm going to adjust the way I speak to the way you speak and vice versa, or we're not going to have a conversation. We have to enter into the same space, to use a terrible cliche, but all of that's a consequence of deep and often unconscious and implicit imitation. And to say that cultural appropriation is a mistake is to deny people the ability to deeply imagine each other. Because there are conversations going on now that a man should never write a woman's role, or a white person should never write a black person's role. It's like, well, all you're doing is forbidding the creator to project him or herself into the landscape of that other person and try to truly, not just empathy, it's way deeper than empathy, to try to live their experience to the best of their imaginative ability in a deep way, and maybe one that can be communicated with other people. Like maybe a white guy who writes about black experience, and he's careful about it, can bridge a gap that no other person can bridge. And even though it might not be 100% accurate, and not to say that biography itself or autobiography itself is ever 100% accurate, it's the best we can do with regards to climbing inside someone else's skull and attempting to truly walk a mile in their shoes, let's say. I read a great book by a woman named Margaret Lawrence, who's a very underrated Canadian author, and she wrote a book called The Stone Angel, which was about an 88-year-old woman, I think, an elderly woman. And I found it profoundly affecting. Like, it was the first time in my life that I had really understood that you're the same when you're old. Like, very much of you is like you were when you were 30 or 40. It's just that, well, you started to deteriorate physiologically and sometimes, but not always psychologically, but all of the emotions and all of the perceptions and the desires and the longings and the doubts and all of that are there just as powerfully. And I don't think I would have understood that until I was much, much older, had I not had the good fortune of encountering that book. So I think that the people who are discussing cultural appropriation, I truly believe that they hate art, because that is art, man. That's take from the best of everything.
Yeah, they just haven't thought it through.
Oh.
Demons, be gone!
Be gone, demons.
Be gone!
Leave this studio!